So we talk about stuttering a whole lot, and I'm going to have a lot of questions about this
Okay.
actually. But we talk about stuttering a whole lot at DF because I think it is one of the biggest issues in modern games from a tech
You and
reviewer's
I are cut from the
perspective.
same place.
Yeah,
I agree.
and you have made through PresentMon, Intel PresentMon, you've made various advancements to try and communicate that to both tech reviewers and audience.
When it's
So
dark out, I'll light a candle.
precisely. How do you want how do you want the audience as well as tech reviewers to explain, like, to understand animation error best? Like, how can you do that with PresentMon?
Well, that's an excellent question. I don't think, I have done a great job explaining this problem. And I think Gamers Nexus did a great video, so thank you,
Yeah,
Steve.
they're great.
But there's a lot more here to talk about. And I think it all starts with understanding what is stutter, like what is physically happening. And I think that has to do with like a lot of slow motion videos and understanding the game pipeline and how that generates frames. So we're trying to do more of that. PresentMon takes that metric now as part of all of our releases of PresentMon and makes it accessible to everybody. So you can get it as part of our overlay, or you can get it into the CVS files. I'm assuming that all the derivative tools that use PresentMon, which was things like CapFrameX and FrameView, will also present that information out to users. Now, I feel like it's too early to say that's baked, right? We're just like, we have the math working, but we don't know really what the thresholds of good and bad are. So I encourage everybody to just, start giving us feedback. We want to have people use animation error, look at the results, and then give us feedback about what's good, what's bad, what would we change. There's other problems, which I'll also say. Animation error relies on a calculation that I call animation delta and display delta. The display delta is time from frame to frame, and that's very well known. The animation time step is harder to calculate, and we're relying on games to tell us timestamps with every frame, but that's not a common universal thing yet. So I'm working on an API that we may someday make available that's just a performance API, and it's not any effect. It's just, if you integrate this API, you'll provide PresentMon all the markers that we need to accurately calculate your performance profile.
I personally kind of see a future where we move beyond FPS and we start talking about image persistence, latency, and smoothness as categories.
Yeah, I think so.
And I feel like you pushing PresentMon in that direction is actually a really great thing.
Hey, thank you. God bless you, Alex. Yeah,
we've been talking about FPS for too long, and I think it hasn't represented the gameplay experience for a long period
especially
of time.
as we're more into this world where generation is really significant part of the experience. Is FPS really the right word for that, right?
Yeah, I don't think it is. Okay, so you have PresentMon, and you're going to move in that direction, but there's other sources. There's many sources of presentation stutter in games. You've talked about animation error, but the reasons behind the game stuttering are multivariate.
Oh, huge.
So one thing we've talked about at DF as a part of the stuttering, our crusade against it, is shader compilation stutter.
Sure.
Do you know Intel's stance right now on advanced shader delivery from Microsoft and how you want to
We are obviously very much supporting it. We also have our own sideband right now before that really matures.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we do precompiled shaders in the cloud, out. And we'll actually download those to your local PC if you're running our control software. And when you first run the game, you will have precompiled shaders.
So, and this covers DX12 Vulkan?
Damian, what's this cover?
DX12 at first.
DS12 at first.
DX12 at first, and do you have a rollout date for this?
So it's out with Panther Lake, right?
It will be out with Panther Lake, with a review driver, and then on-shelf availability will be.
Yeah, now the game list, I think we started with Steam, is that right?
We start with Steam games, and there's going to be a list of games that we support at launch.
Okay.
And we will, extend.
To reiterate for the audience, there's going to be a list of games that will be supported at launch. Panther Lake, DX12 at first.
Yep.
That is actually incredible. Now, how's the mechanism exactly working? So you have the shader compiler for in the cloud. You guys do it, and you distribute it asynchronously or with driver updates?
It is asynchronous. Okay. So there's a service that's running on your PC that is querying, basically looks at the games you're playing and says, what do I need to download? Yeah.
So how are you getting the shaders then from the game? Like, are you SODBs from the...
Every time a game revs, we have to recompile the shaders.
Okay.
Right? So think of it like it's a heavy lift, right? You can't just say, we did it once and we're done. That's not the way life works. When there's a game update, we have to update the shaders and you have to check all the versions.
And are you getting these from telemetry from playtesting QA or developers supplying them to you?
Oh, you mean like...
Where the shader cache is coming from, like the initial ones that you are
Well, the
compiling.
shader caches come from our compilation.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
We compile it, put it in a database that's in our server, and then we download it to PCs based on our local
Oh,
software.
okay, sorry, let me reiterate. Where are the initial list of PSOs coming from that you know that are there that should be used for the
Right,
title?
so how do we know which shaders to compile for the game? We do our own gameplay.
You are doing your own gameplay.
Yeah, so effectively you have to run through the game to get the shaders all compiled. Now, I don't know if Alex has any magic. Alex is the guy working on it. I don't know if there's any magical scanning thing that he's doing. I don't think so. I think it's just gameplay based to get the PSOs.
This is incredible. I've joked in the past about a so-called shader butler, as in someone who just goes and plays games for you to prevent the stuttering from happening.
Yeah.
And Intel is apparently
we're
going to be shader
working
butler.
on it. I mean, it's a big problem. It does have an experience effect, and we're all about making our integrated product more and more acceptable for gaming. And I think with Panther Lake, I don't know if you saw our data, but Panther Lake is delivering the performance of a 4080.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, 4050. 4050 on mobile. And that would be great if it was.
That would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be like, nice job, Tommy. Yeah, so it's a 4050 already, which is, kind of a mass market just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it is. That is actually really great that you told me that. I didn't expect that, and I feel like that is quite unique position. We have yet to hear from any of the other vendors about their movement on advanced shader delivery beyond the ASUS Ally Xbox. I forget the name of the device.
I think eventually Microsoft is going to have a solution here that scales larger.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just a question of what's the timeline on that. And so for us, we're doing this to improve experience now because it's a problem for our gamers.
Yeah, it is a huge problem. And I feel like, wow, seriously, that's actually a big movement forward in it because I've been railing against this for years. And there's obviously on the developer side about making sure your games actually have a small list of PSOs in general and don't have an explosion. But the IHVs moving in a direction is also very positive.
Yeah, I would love for this to not be a thing, which means that you would have shader compiler technology that was so good that you wouldn't ever have shader compilation delays. But that's just not practical right now because these shaders are gigantic. So the alternative is let's do some offline compilation.
Yeah, do you see, at least in terms of the gather process, you're pushing AI and ML. Do you see that in a future here to alleviate the issue even further beyond what you're doing?
I think there's a whole question about what's the future of game look like and what's the combination between raster and AI, and would you in that world have fewer shader programs and more AI networks? And I think that's definitely true, where you'll do more of the process of rasterization using AI assists.
Yeah. I've got a question about that in a second here too, but how do you communicate to users what are the performance problems with their game?
That's another great question, Alex. Well, we've been trying, right? This is another very hard problem because it goes from very simplistic, which is FPS, to slightly more complex, which is things like animation error. But now people want to know the causes. So if you look at PresentMon, we've done two things. We've added all the telemetry that you normally get from a GPU. That's all part of PresentMon now. So you'll see temperature and utilization and all the different ways to break down a GPU. But we also look at what the render process looks like on the CPU. And we have a metric called CPU busy and GPU busy that gives you a sense of which part of the bottleneck, which part of the pipeline is bottlenecking you. But even that is just the beginning. And so we'd like to get to the place where you can imagine you open up PresentMon and you're getting a sort of a real-time diagnostic assistant that is helping you tune your game, like tune your system to eliminate bottlenecks and eliminate, et cetera. That's a ways away.
Yeah.
But right now we're just providing the building blocks for all that.
I talked to NVIDIA about this too, and I feel like that is the future because at the moment right now you go into a settings menu in a game and unless you're watching an optimized settings video by some expert,
it's overwhelming.
You don't know necessarily what's causing it.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job with their current version of GeForce. What's it called? It's called the NVIDIA app now or whatever it is.
Whatever it's called, yeah.
But they've combined the game settings with their control panel settings and they make recommendations. I think that's the way this is all going to go. And eventually some AI assist that sets that up automatically is probably coming.